Good day, everyone. I am from the Group 3. Our topic is Problem and Interpreting Philippine History. I am the one who report the Part 1 of the Unit 3, which is Historical Interpretation. By the way, I am Mariel Mercader. Our lesson objective is, by the end of this lesson, the student will be able to explain problems in the historical interpretation of particular Philippine historical events, critique the interpretation of historical events using primary sources, and re-examine and assess the validity of historical interpretation in light of newly discovered evidence. Our key concept, oversimplification, happens often in education or propaganda settings when a historical event is reduced to its basics to relay what happened in the past quickly. Inadequacy, when there is inadequate evidence to make definitive assumptions about the past, yet many still proceed with historical interpretation. Tentativeness, the appreciation that historical interpretation should not be treated as if written in stone. The interpretations are subject to changes as new information is uncovered, new voices heard, and new interpretation broached. We may define history as what happened in the past. The reality is, it is more of a dialogue among historians. And one historian's contribution to this dialogue is an interpretation of the past based on sources and evidence consulted. The interpretation is not just a matter of when, where, or who, but also why and how. Variables that cannot just be lifted straight from the source when historians write history. They do not offer theories, they offer an interpretation. These interpretations are affected by a host of factors. In this lesson, we explore three interpretations, which is oversimplification, inadequate evidence, and tentativeness. Oversimplification occurs when an interpretation does not offer enough detail to provide a fuller picture of what happened in the past, which could lead to an incomplete and inaccurate version of the historical account. So, when we say oversimplification means making a story or event into simple, removing many important details just to make it easier or faster to explain. For example, when teachers or books tell a long historical event in just a few sentences, some facts might be left out or changed to make it easier to understand. So in short, oversimplification, telling only the basic parts of a big story and skipping important details. On the other hand, when the historical interpretation is based on inadequate evidence, we perpetuate a reading of the past that may have been wrong in the first place. So inadequate evidence means not enough evidence to be sure about what really happened in the past. Sometimes, historians don't have complete records or proof, but they still try to explain history using what little information they have. Example, we don't have many writings about Lapu-Lapu, so what we know about might not be 100% complete or certain. So, finally, historical interpretation are affected by the tentativeness of history. So, when we say tentativeness, it means being open to change. Historical explanations can change when new evidence or information appears. History is not fixed. As new discoveries are made, our understanding can improve. For example, if new documents about Magellan voyage are found, historians might change what they believe really happened in Mactan. The Battle of Mactan. We are all aware of the story of the Lapu-Lapu, as one of the first things we learn in Philippine history is the story of how the chieftain of Mactan defeated a small. It tells us the fact that Europeans were fought off the invaders. And unfortunately, this is the abridged, shortcut version of the battle. But what truly happened in the Battle of Mactan? A closer look at Pigafetta's first voyage around the world reveals that the version of the Battle of Mactan that we know is far different than what eyewitness accounts say about the tense of the fateful day. So, when Magellan reached a part of the Philippine Islands, which he named Islas de San Lazaro and claimed it in the name of Spain. In the process, he got involved in the conflicts of competing chieftains in the area. While he was able to secure the commitment of Cebu's Raja Humabon, one particular chief eluded him, Mactan's Lapu-Lapu, while the primary source about the mysterious chieftain is scarce. Gaspar Correa, a 16th century Portuguese historian who obtained information from survivors of the Magellan expedition, described Lapu-Lapu. So, when Magellan reached a part of Philippines, iya ni gingaranan nga Islas de San Lazaro, ngan iya ginangkon hangaran han Espanya. Ti kaya na-involveyahan mga samok han mga nagaaway nga mga dato ditohan lugar, samtang nakuha niya ang pag-uyon ni Raja Humabon, han Cebu. Ano sa liwat nga dato inwaray sumunod ha iya Lapu-Lapu han Mactan. Bisan kulang ang original nga impormasyon, may tungod ang misteryoso nga dato, Gaspar Correa, usa nga Portuguese nga historiador han ika-16 nga siglo nga nakakuha ng impormasyon tikang ha mga nakaluwas sa ekspedisyon ni Magellan. Ang naglalarawan kan Lapu-Lapu. Gaspar Correa, he is one of the earliest historians who wrote about the Portuguese exploration in Asia. He is best known for his book Lendas da India, or Legends of India, which tells the stories of the Portuguese discoveries, conquests, and voyages in India and nearby regions, including the expedition of Ferdinand Magellan. In his writings, Correa included details he heard from survivors of Magellan's voyage, especially about the events in the Philippines and the Battle of Mactan, where Lapu-Lapu defeated Magellan. According to his sources, the hero of Mactan is very old. He may even be 70 years or older, as the term used was Velho of Vejo. It is certain then that Lapu-Lapu could not have killed Magellan himself, and it would be more up to say that it was the forces under his command that killed the European navigator. According sa mga sources, ang bayanihan Mactan is talaga na daw nabangin mga 70 years old na or labaw pa, kaya ang pulong nga gingamit ang Velho o Vejo nga buot signon tilagas. Tungod hini, klaro nga diri Lapu-Lapu mismo ang nakapatay kan Magellan, kundi ang iya mga sundalo o mga tawo ha iya ilaromhan nagpatay han Europeo nga manlalayag. The immediate cause of the battle was Zula, another chief from Mactan, who claimed that he was unable to send the bulk of his tribute to Magellan because of Lapu-Lapu. Zula asked the Europeans to help fight Lapu-Lapu, and Magellan immediately decided to personally lead this move first despite the protest of his men. Ang pinakatikangan nga rason han gera ang Zula. Usa pa nga dato daw hanti kang hamaktan, nga nasiri nga dirihiya nakakapagpadarahin kadaman haya tributo kan Magellan tungod kan Lapu-Lapu. Nangaro Zula himbulig ang mga Europeo para makig-away kan Lapu-Lapu, ngan dayon nagdesisyon ni Magellan nga iya mismo ang mangunahan gutiay nga persa bisan diri uyon ang iya mga tawo. Pigafetta's account of the Battle of Mactan. So here ma'am is istorya ko na lapuya in waray-waray. Diri ko na po babasahon an slides. So the first slide is bumiyahe kuno herati kang Hazubo or Cebu. Katunga-tungaan han gabi. May adahera 60 nga tawo nga armado nakasulutin corslet o panagang halawas ngan helmet. Upod nera ang Kristiyano nga hari nga pira nga mga dato. Nga damo panupod nga mga sakay mga 20 o 30 han barko. Umabot ha Matan or Mactan mga 3 ka oras og sa magkamay ada adlaw. So it means mga umagahon inin. So og sa matake daw hira, karoy ganay han kapitan nga pakiananhin maupay sanglit iya ginda padara baybayon an Muslim nga para kalyo para mayaknan ang mga tao ni si Lapu-Lapu or Lapu-Lapu. Kung ira kilalun ang Kristiyano nga hari Raja Humabon, kumo era hari, nga sumunod hira harihan Espanya nga magbabayadhan tributo nga ginkikinahanglan, magiging sangkay hirahan kapitan. Kung diri liwat, igpapakita nira nga magkakasasamad hira gamit an era bangkaw. Diri nahadlok ang mga isla nasiring hira nga kun may ada niyo mga bangkaw, may ada liwat hira bisan la inibulungan kahoy nga gimpatig aha kalayo. Ngaro hira nga diri umatake ha era during hangabi. Kundi magulat anay tubtob magkaadlaw. Kay naglalaom hira nga may maabot nga kadugangan nga kusog. Ngan madamo na hira pag-abutan adlaw. Pero tinuyo nira ini nga igyakan para maingganyo kami nga umatake hagabi. Kay nagunahon na hira nga andam na kami. Tinuod nga karuyag nira nga umatake kami hadto nga oras kay nagbuho hira habot nga han era mga balay nga han baybayon. Nga naglaom hira nga mahuhulog hira didto. This account by Pigafetta, we see the attempt of Magellan to give Lapu-Lapu's forces a chance to yield before the fighting even happened through a local Muslim merchant as an interpreter. So the battle parties traded verbs regarding their weapons. The Icelanders were intending to trap Magellan's forces by enticing them to attack while it was still dark, but the Europeans saw through their intention. We, however, waited for daylight, pero naghulat kami tubtub magkami ada adlaw, when then leap into the water up to our thighs, for on account of the shallow water in the rocks, the boat could not come close to the beach, and we had to cross 2 good crossbow shots through the water before reaching it. So, limuso kami ha tubig kutuba amon mga paa, kay tungod han kababahan tubig ngan mga bato. Diri makakarani habaybayon ang mga sarakyan. We were 49 in number, the other 11 remained in charge of the boats. Nagtabok kami halabang nga distansya ha tubig antes makaabot ha baybayon. 49 kami nga tanan. Ngan an 11 nagpabilin na sa kayam para magbantay. When we reached land, we found the Icelanders 1,500 in number, drawn up in 3 squadrons. They came down upon us with terrible shots, 2 squadrons attacking us on the flanks, and the 3rd in front. So pagabot namon na baybayon, nakita namon nga may ada mga 1,500 nga taga baybayon nga nakaandam hat tulo nga grupo. Mataki hira haamon ang duha mga ligid nga nano sa haatubangan. Gintungan naman ang kapitanan niya mga tawo ha pera nga grupo. Our musketeers and crossbow men fired for half an hour from a distance but did not nothing. Since the bullets and arrows they passed through their shields made of thin wood, and perhaps wounded their arms, yet did not stop them. So, ang amon mga sundalo nga may pusil nga pana, nagpabuto nga napalupad yung pana for half an hour. Pero wala epekto. Bisan na iguhin mga balan era panagang o shield, manipis nga kahoy nga nasamara na nirang mga butkon, wala gihapon nira magpapugong pakig-away. The captain shouted not to fire, so ginsinggitan hirahan kapitan niya ayaw anay pagpusil. But he was not listened to. Pero wala hira mamati. So the Icelanders, seeing that his shots of our guns did them little or no harm, would not retire, but shouted more loudly and springing from one side to other hand to avoid our shots. So han nakita ng mga taga-isla nga diri hira sugad kasamaran han among mga pusil, nagpadayon nira pag-atake. Nagsinggit hirahin mas makusog samtang nagliko-liko basi manlikayan ang amon mga bala nga nagdakop pa haamon. Naglabay rin mga pana, bangkaw, sibat nga gipabasko kakalayo, mga bato nga bisan lapok nga ginpapasan namon pagdepensahan namon kalugaringon. Some of them cast lances pointed with iron at the Captain General. May da pa iba nga naglabing sibat nga may da putaw ang katapusan ti kadtuha Kapitan General. So, the account provided by Pigafetta in this paragraph detailed essential information about the battle. They were wading through thigh deep water wearing their heavy metals, armors, and weapons. This situation may have affected their agility. The glaring imbalance between the two sides was also apparent. Magellan led this troop of 39 to face 1,500 of Lapu-Lapu's forces. The weapons and fighting style of the Mactan warriors were also described. He then, in order to disperse the multitude and to terrify them, sent some of our men to set fire to the houses, but this rendered them more ferocious. Some of them ran to the fire, which consumed 20 or 30 houses, and there killed 2 of our men. The rest came down upon us with greater fury. They perceived that our bodies were defended, but that the legs were exposed. And they aimed at them principally. So katapos, para mas tapan-away nga para mahadlok hira, nagpadaraan kapitan hin piraha amon mga tawo para sunugon na nira mga balay. Pero tungod hini, naging mas maisog pa hira. May ada ibang nga kumatuha kalayo nga nagsunog hin 20 o 30 nga balay. Ngandito ira pinatayin duha namon nga kaupod. An iba naman nag-atake haamon hin mas makusog. Nakita nira nga naprotektahan ang amon lawas, pero ang amon mga diri nakaprotekta, sanglit dito nira igo hanira mga panangan sibat. So the captain had his right leg pierced by a poisoned arrow, on which account he gave orders to retreat by degrees. But almost all our men took the precipitate flight, so that there remained hardly 6 or 8 of us with him. We were oppressed by the lances and stones which the enemy hurled at us, and we could make no more resistance. The bombards which we had in the boats were of no assistance to us, for the shoal water kept them too far from the beach. We went there, retreating little by little and still fighting. Naiguan to nga BTS han kapitan hinpa na nga may dalason. So tungod hini, nagsuguhiya nga hinahinay ang pag-atras. Pero anya tanan niya mga tao nagdalagan dayon. Sanglit mga 6 o 8 laan nabili no po da iya. Ginhulugan kami hin mga sibat ngan bato han mga kaaway. Ngandiri na kami makaato. Ang mga kanyon ng sakayan waray makabulig, kay ang tubig na hababaw ngandiri makadoong ha baybayon. Nagatras kami hinahinay samtang nagaaway pa. And we had already got to the distance of a crossbow shot from the shore. Having the water up to our knees, the islanders following and picking up again the spears which they had already cast, and they threw the same spear 5 or 6 times. As they know the captain, they aimed especially at him, which they had already aimed especially at him, and twice they knocked the helmet off his head. So he, with a few of us, like a good knight, remained at his post without choosing to retreat further. Nakaabot kami sa lugar nga medyo harayo tikang habaybayon. Sugad hinlupad himpana ngan ang tubig ko tuba amon mga tuhod. Ang mga taga-isla nagsunod amon ngan gimpupurot ni rautruan mga sibat nga era ginlalabay. Ginlalabay ni rautruan pareho nga sibat 5 o 6 ka beses. Kilala nira ang kapitan sanglit dito hira permi naglalabay hay iya. Duha pa ka beses nira natanggalan iya helmet. Pero ang kapitan upod ang pipira laha amon nagpabili na iya pesta sugadihin maisog nga sundalo ngan waray karuyag umatras. Thus, we fought for more than an hour. until an Indian or islanders succeeded in thrusting a cane lance into the captain's face. He then, being irritated, pierced the Indian's breast with this lance, and left it in his body, and trying to draw his sword, he was unable to draw it more than halfway, on account of a javelin wound which he had received in the right arm. So nag-away pa kami sobraw sa kauras. Tubtuban no sa nga taga-isla nakatusokin sibat nga hinimo hakawayan nga tuhan nawong han kapitan. Nasina ang kapitan ngan iya gintusok ang dughan han taga-isla gamit an iya sibat. Ngan iya ginhibilin dito halawas. Gintry niya kuhaon ang iya espada pero waray niya mahimo kuhaon himbugos tungod kay nasama dan iya tuo nga butkon hampaa. The enemies were seeing this all rushed against him. So, and one of them with a great sword, like a great scimitar, gave him a great blow on the left leg, which brought the captain down on his face. Then the Indians threw themselves upon him, and ran him through with lances and scimitars, and all the other arms which they had, so that they deprived of life our mere light comfort and true guide. Han mga kaaway nakakita hini. Ira dayon ginsulong han kapitan. Usaha ira nga may dako nga espada nga sugadin sundang. Nga nagtuslob ha iya hawala han bitiis. Ngan natumba ang kapitan ha iya atubangan. Dayon ginatake hiya ang mga taga-isla, gintusok hiyahin mga sibat, espada ngan iba pa nga armas tubtob nga mapatay hiya. Hiyaan amo nga giya suga ngan kusog namon. Whilst the Indians were the overpowering several times, he turned around toward us to see if we were all in safety, as though his obstinate fight had no other object than to give an opportunity for the retreat of his men. We who fought to extremity and who were covered with wounds, seeing that he was dead, proceeded to the boats which were on the point of going away. So ginsumat ni Fegafetta nga samtang ginaptan na hirahanda mong mga taga-Mactan, imadyalan pa dayon nga nagbabalik lang tao basi masiguro nga an iya mga tawo nakatalwas. Bisan kung sugad, padayon nagihapon an iya pag-away tubtob nga hiya mismo ang namatay. Katapos ito, an iya mga kasangkayan nga sugad man mga samaran nagihap, napirit na bumalik ka sa kayan. Ini napakita nga himadyalan waray bumaya han iya mga tawo ngan gipanindugan an iya tungod tubtubha. Katapos fatal battle was fought on the 27th of April of 1521 on a Saturday, a day in which the captain had chosen himself because he had a special devotion to it. There perished with him 8 of our men and 4 of the Indians who had become Christians. We had also many wounded, amongst whom I must reckon myself. The enemy lost only 15 men. Ginsisiri nga ang away nga nahinabuhan Abril 27, 1521, Sabado. Usa nga adlaw nga himadyalan mismo ang nagpili tungodan han iya relihiyoso nga debosyon. Haaway upat nga Kristiyano nga mga Pilipino nga walo nga iya mga tawo ang namatay. Samtang damuliwat ang nasamaran upod na Hifagafetta mismo. Haluyo naman kinsila nga mga hantawo ang kaaway ang namatay. Ibig sabihin mas damo ang casualties haban panig ni Magellan. Nagpapakita nga waray hira preparado o waray igsabot ang sitwasyon ha Mactan. So this account of Magellan's death informs us how different we have imagined this event. What we know as general knowledge about this battle is an oversimplified narrative that is easy to tell. While it was true that it was Lapu-Lapu's first who defeated Magellan's forces. Once we base the story from an eyewitness account, the variables of the battle become clearer. But this account is only one account. and we cannot deny the fact that Pigafetta was overcome by emotion seeing their leader die. He might have even been exaggerating some aspects of the battle. For example, would it not have terrified Magellan's forces, numbering at a measly 49, to see the more than 1,000 Mactan warriors while they waded toward the shore? So it would have been logical and easy to comprehend how grossly outnumbered the Europeans were. Despite their more advanced weapons and armors, it would have been obvious what was going to happen. How did he know that the arrow that hit Magellan was poisoned when the Europeans never recovered Magellan's body? However, one thing is for sure, Lapu-Lapu did not personally kill Magellan. Rizal's retraction Filipino nation. So the great volume of Rizal's life work was committed to this end. Unending colonialism and liberating Filipino minds to contribute to creating the job. Rizal is identified as a hero of the revolution for his writings that center particularly the more influential ones. Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. His essays vilified not the Catholic religion but the friars, the primary agents of injustice in the Philippine society. So, dako nga partan kinabuhi ni Rizal gintaga para tapusan ang kolonyalismo ngan pag-abrihan hunahuna ang mga Pilipino para makabulig kapag uswaghan sosyalidad. Nakilala ni Rizal como bayanihan revolusyon tungod han iya mga sinurat, labi na ang Noli Me Tangere ngan El Filibusterismo. Ang iya mga ensayo diri kontra mga Katolik, kundi kontra ha mga praile nga naging puno nga rason han kawarayan hinustisya ha Pilipinas. Rizal's retraction. Translation of the document found by Father Manuel Garcia, C.M. on May 18, 1935. I declare myself a Catholic, and in this religion in which I was born and educated, I wish to live and die. I retract with all my heart whatever in my words, writings, publications, and conduct has been contrary to my character as son of the Catholic Church. I believe and I confess whatever she teaches, and I submit to whatever she demands. I abominate Masonry as the enemy which is of the Church, and as a society prohibited by the Church. So gindeklara ko nga ako usa nga Katoliko. Ngandidahin ni nga relihiyon nga ako gintikangan nag-eskwela. Karayag ko nga magkinabuhi nga mamatay. Bugosan akon kasing-kasing hapag atras hanyatanan nga akon mga pulong. Sinurat og mga binuhat nga kontra ako pagkatawo kumuanakan simbahan Katolika. Nagtutuo ako nga nagkukumpiskal hanyatanan nga iya igintutdo nga nagsusunod ako hangatanan nga iya agin papahimo. Gindidiri ko ang mga masonry tungod kay kaaway ni han simbahan ngan gimbabawal ang simbahan mismo. So the diocesan prelate may, as the superior ecclesiastical authority, may make public this spontaneous manifestation of mine in order to repair the scandal which may have caused, and so that God and people may pardon me. So nasiring nga ang leader ng simbahan pwede magpahayaghan sinurat ni Rizal nga pagbasol o retraction. Ginhimo ni Rizal ini para buhaton ang iya pagbasol han iya mga sala kontra sa simbahan, nga para mapatawa diyahan Dios nganhan mga tawo. So, Manila, 29 of December of 1896, Jose Rizal. There are several iterations of the text of this retraction. The first was published in La Voz Española and Diario de Manila on the day of the execution, December 30, 1896. The second text appeared in Barcelona, Spain, in the magazine La Juventud. A few months after the execution, 14th of February 1897, from an anonymous writer who was later revealed to be Father Vicente Balaguer. However, the original text was only found in the Archdiocesan Archives on 18th of May 1935. After almost 4 decades of this appearance. So, ang mga document nga retraction may pitsa nga didahan December 29, 1896. Usa ka adlaw antes patayon ni Rizal. Pero may adalain-lain nga version hindi nga mga surat. Ansyahan nakita La Voz Española nga Diario de Manila didahan Disyembre 30, 1896. Ang ikaduha nakita na Barcelona, Spain didaliwat ang Pebrero 14, 1897. Ang original nga kopya kuno nakita liwat simbahan didahan Mayo 18, 1935. Katapos ang sobra 40 ka tuig nga nawara. Doubts on the retraction document abound primarily because only one eyewitness account of the writing of the document exists, that of the Jesuit friar Father Vicente Balaguer. He claimed he was the one who assisted Rizal most of that sad day's hours, and even argued with him and demolished his arguments. According to his testimony, Rizal woke up several times, confessed 4 times, attended a mass, received communion, and prayed the rosary, all of which seem out of character. But since it is the only testimony of allegedly a primary account that Rizal ever wrote a retraction document, it has been used to argue the authority of the document. So, damo ang diri na tuod nga nagsurat go diri sa retraction. Usala ang testigo nga nagsaring nga iyan nakita ay Father Vicente Balaguer. Saring niya, nagsurat daw Rizal, nagkumpisal nga nagmisa nga nagampo antes or ogsa patayon. Pero para iba diri ni tuod kay diri masugad ang batasan ni Rizal. Tungod kay usala ang nakasaksi, diri klaro kung tinuod ba o piki ang dokumento. So, another eyewitness account surfaced in the last decade. Among the 1,000 reports found in the Corpo de Vigilancia collection published in 2011, around 30 are about Rizal, and 8 of these reports can shed light on the retraction controversy. One is a surveillance report on the last hours of Rizal, written by Federico Moreno. The report details the statement of Moreno to the Corpo de Vigilancia. So, ini nga bago nga account, tikang or another eyewitness, tikang kan Federico Moreno, importante kay nakadugang impormasyon nga makakabulig nga pag-aram naton kung tinuod ba nga nagretract ki Rizal ug sa hiya patayon. So, ibig sabihin, padayon nga may nagdidiskubre nga mga dokumento nga nakakatabang or nakakabulig pagpalawak aton pagkaaramhan kasaysayan. So, eyewitness account of the last hours of Rizal. Most illustrious sir, the agent of the Corpo de Vigilancia stationed in Fort Santiago to report on the events during the eligible day in prison, the accused to Rizal, informed me on this date of the following. So inin nga part nagsusumat nga an usa nga ahente or agent Corpo de Vigilancia nga naka-duty Fort Santiago amo nagsuratan report may tungod ang mga nahitabo samtang preso Rizal. Ginpadara niya ini nga mga impormasyon na iya labaw nga opisyal para ibalitaan kabutangan ni Rizal ha iya tapusan nga adlaw ha presuhan. So, at 7:50 yesterday morning, Jose Rizal entered death row accompanied by his counsel, Senior Taviel de Andrade and the Jesuit priest Jose Vela Clara, at the urgings of the former and moments after entering. He was served a light breakfast. At approximately 9, the adjutant of the garrison, Senior Eloy Moore, asked Rizal if he wanted anything. He replied that at the moment he only wanted a prayer book which was brought to him shortly by Father Stanislaw March. So pagka alas 7:50 aga, Jose Rizal gintara ha death row upod ang iya abogado nga Senior Taviel de Andrade. Ngan ang padre nga Josita nga Father Villa Clara. Gintagan niya nga pinakaon matapos sira makasulod. Mga alas 9, ang opisyalhan ko tangay Senior Maury nagpakiana kung may kinahanglan pa Rizal nga binato ni Rizal nga karuyag lang niya hin libro hin pag-ampo. Nga dayon gintugyan or gintagan ni Father March. So, Senior Andrade left death row at 10. Rizal spoke for a long while with the Jesuit fathers, March and Villa Clara. Regarding religious matters, it appears that these two presented him with a prepared retraction on his life and debts that he refused to sign. They argued about the matter until 12:30 when Rizal ate some poached egg and a little chicken. Afterwards, he asked to leave to write and wrote for a long time by himself. So pagka alas 10 liwat, linmakat na Senior Andrade. Senior Andrade binaya ni Senior Andrade Rizal ha death row. Nagpaday ni Rizal hin mga istorya upod ang mga padre nga Josita ra Father March ngan Father Villa Clara. May tungod ang mga mga relihiyoso nga istorya, gintagan hera ni Rizal hin retraction letter nga napapasabot nga binabawi niya mga pag-ato pero igbaliban ni Rizal permahan. Nagdiskusyon hera to balas 12:30. Ngan katapos kumaw ni Rizal hin bunay ngan gamay nga manok. Pagkatapos kumaon, nangaruhiya himpapil para magsurat ngan nag-usahiya para magsurat ngan nagsurat hiyahin maiha. So by 3 in the afternoon, Father March entered the chapel and Rizal handed him what he had written. Immediately, the chief of the firing squad, Senior Juan del Fresno, and the assistant of the plaza, Senior Maury, were informed. They entered death row and together with Rizal signed the document that the accused had written. It seems this was the retraction. Pagka alas 3 kulop, sumulod liwat ni Father March sa kapilyangan ginhatag ni Rizal ang iya sinurat. Dayon sabutan han mga opisyal hera Senior del Fresno and Jefe han firing squad ngan Senior Maury and assistant han plaza. Sinulod hera ha death row ngan upod kan Rizal. Nagpirma hera han document nga iya ginhimo gintutuuhan nga ini nga sinurat amo an retraction ni Rizal. So, from 3 to 5:30 in the afternoon, Rizal read his prayer book several times, prayed kneeling before the altar and in the company of Fathers Villa Clara and March, read the acts of faith, hope, and charity repeatedly as well as the prayer for the departing soul. So, tikang alas 3, tubtubhan alas 5:30 kulop, permi nag-aampo Rizal. Permi niya gimbabasan iya libro himpag-ampo samtang duko ha atubangan han altar upod ang mga padre nga Father Villa Clara nga Father March. Iya liwat gimbasa ngan ginuro-utro ang mga acts of faith, hope, nga nan charity nga ang mga pagampo para hakalag nga malakat na. Then at the 6 in the afternoon, the following persons arrived and entered the chapel. Teodora Alonso, mother of Rizal, and his sisters Lucia, Maria, Olympia, Josefa, Trinidad, and Dolores. Embracing them, the accused bade them farewell with great strength of character and without shedding a tear. So the mother of Rizal left the chapel weeping and carrying 2 bundles of several utensils belonging to her son who had used them while in prison. So, pagka alas 6 liwatan kulop, umabot ang pamilya ni Rizal. Aniya nanay nga Teodora Alonso, nga naniya mga bugtong nga Hera Lucia, Maria, Olympia, Josefa, Trinidad nga hi Dolores. Akos ni Rizal niya pamilya nga nagpaalam haira nga madigon an kasing-kasing bisan waray hiya tumuok. Pagkatapos gumawa sa niya nanay samtang may dara nga duha ka bugos in mga gamit ni Rizal nga iya ginamit samtang preso pa iya. A little after 8 in the evening, at the urgings of Senor Andrade, the accused was served a plate of tinola, his last meal on earth. The assistant of the plaza, Senor Maure, a father of March and Villa Clara, visited him at 9 in the evening. He rested until 9 in the morning and again resumed praying before the altar. So pagka alas 8 lutan gabi, tungod hangyo ni Senyor Andrade, ginserbihan ni Rizal hintinola. Amin ni an iya last na nga pagkaon o sa iya mamatay. Pagka alas 9, bumisita liwat ha iya hera Senyor Maure upod ang mga padre nga Father March nga Father Villa Clara. Katapos ini, humigda hi Rizal humigda or kumaturog hi Rizal kutoban alas 4 umagahon. Nga pagbuhat niya or pagmata niya, nagpadayon niya pagampuha tubangan han altar. So at 5 this morning of the 30th, the lover of Rizal arrived at the prison accompanied by his sister Pilar. Both dressed in mourning, only the former entered the chapel, followed by a military chaplain whose name I cannot ascertain. Donning his formal clothes and aided by a soldier of the artillery, the nuptials of Rizal and the woman who had been his lover were performed at the point of death in articulo mortis. After embracing him, she left loaded with thirst. So, pagka alas 5 lutan aga, ika-30, hinigugma ni Rizal nga aniya bugtong ay Pilar, nagtugpa ha presohan, or nagtikato presohan. Pareho nagpakaputosin itom. Hiyalaan ninigugma ni Rizal ang nagsulod ha kapilya o pudan usa nga military chaplain. Rizal nga naka-formal nga bado gintabangan han usa nga sundalo tikang ha artillery nga andi daging buwatan ira kasal bisan usa hiya mamatay. Katapos ang ako sa ira, nagbayan na ang babae nga punuhin mga luha. Then Rizal heard mass and confessed to Father March. Afterwards, he heard another mass where he received communion. At 7:30, a European artilleryman handcuffed him and he left for the place of execution accompanied by various Jesuits, his council, and the assistant of the plaza. Father March gave him a holy picture of the Virgin that Rizal kissed repeatedly. So, nagampoy Rizal nga nagpakasala hapad kan Padre March or confess kan Padre March. Katapos nakigampoy yahin usapa nga misa nga kakarawat hiyahin komunyon. Han pagka alas 7:30 aga gin pugos hiyahin usa nga European artilleryman ngan ginpadara nga tuha lugar han pagpatay. Upo din iba nga Jesuta. Abogado nga nan-assistant han plaza. Gintagan hi Padre March hiyahin baraan nga retrato han berhen nga iya permi gintamod ngan ginharukan ni Rizal. So, when the accused left, I noticed he was very pale, but I am very certain that all the time he was imprisoned, he demonstrated great strength of character and composure. So na pagkatapos napansin ko nga waray hiya lay bangan kabuhay-buhay iya nawong. Pero sigurado ako nga habugos nga panahon nga hiya nakapriso, napapakita hiya hinda ko nga kusog han pagkatawo ngan kalma. God grant your excellency. Manila, 30 of December 1896. So that's all, ma'am, of my part. Once again, I am Mariel Mercader. Thank you.